Welcome to Becoming Limitless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to optimize their brain and their body with biohacking. I'm going to teach you how to eliminate brain fog and upgrade your health so you can have more productivity, energy, and growth in your business. I'm your host, Tanessa Shears. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Becoming Limitless podcast. We're back. I'm so excited to be here with you again. It has been about 8 months since I've recorded the last official episode because I have been spending the last while making a tiny new human. She is just over 5 weeks old right now, and her name is Tenley. So we've been growing the family, and now I am excited to jump back in and help you with your focus, your health, and your energy so that we can grow really amazing businesses. There's some new stuff, so don't forget to stick around to the end of the podcast because you're going to hear a brand new outro that I've recorded. I'm actually pretty proud of it, and I'm excited for you to hear it too. So let's get into today's episode. It is called The Return. I'm giving you a step-by-step guide for rebuilding your health while running a successful business. So it's going to be a mini series. I'm thinking maybe one every 4 to 6 episodes. I'm going to put one of these in, and it is going to be a guide that you could follow when you are trying to get your health back organized on the table so that, we can start to have clear thinking and waking up feel well rested because we know how much that affects our business, right? It's basically going to be a process that you can implement if you feel like you need a reboot for your health. It's inspired by the return that I'm going to be going through over the next year as I optimize my brain and my body. And I'm going to use the exact techniques that I use, on myself, that I have developed, that I use with clients. And the whole purpose of it is to create like that energy and that focus that gives you those days in your business that are so productive. You get so much done. And you know what? I'm doing it with a newborn and a 2-year-old. So I have definitely things that I'm going to have to work up against, but I'm going to show you how I do it. And I really want you to stay tuned to the later part in this episode because I'm sharing a free giveaway that I'm going to be sharing to help you with this process. If you want to join me with your own goal, if you're like, yeah, I want to get back on the health bandwagon too, and I want it to be sustainable, I'm going to show you how to do it. You're welcome to pick your own goals and join me. But what I'm going to be sharing is how you can access something called the Becoming Limitless Habit List. And you're going to be able to swipe all of my top health habits that I use with myself and my clients. It's basically a list. So you can pick one, you master it, you move on to the next one. So stay tuned for that. So with my clients, I often find that one of the side effects of building businesses, especially when you get up into the high 6 and 7-figure range, is that your health deteriorates. I mean, it gets put on the back burner and it starts out so slow at first. It's like you have a launch and it's super busy. And so you end up staying up a little late and you're tired. So you skip your workout and then you're just like, it's fine. I'm just going to make it till the end of my launch. I don't have time to do all the grocery shopping and stuff like that. So I'm just going to, make something that's easy and fast. And maybe that easy and fast food isn't as healthy as you'd like it to be. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to stay up just a bit later just because it's just a season of my life and I'm going to get more work done. And then you get that done and you're watching Netflix to escape and you're on your computer, your TV till 1 a.m. and all of a sudden your business has taken the center of your life and your health has been pushed right off the table. And it's one of the side effects of building a business. And I see it over and over again with my clients, right? And so while I haven't been in a launch, I have been basically giving birth to a human. And I've gone through a similar process with my pregnancy. When my daughter was born on June 1st, I naturally had to stop exercising like a couple weeks before I gave birth, and I haven't exercised since. I'm just, 5.5 weeks postpartum. The food aversions, I was constantly hungry, and because of that, my food choices changed. Naturally, I had food aversion, so I had less vegetables, more carbs, more flour, more sugar, and the convenience eating that comes with having a new baby, and you're tired all the time, and my sleep has been crazy. I mean, as would be expected, but the last 6 weeks of my pregnancy, I could barely sleep through the night because I had so much hip pain. And now I'm up feeding a newborn multiple times a night. So while my circumstance might be different than yours. We might be in the same place, having to rebuild and put focus back on our health. And I'm starting from the same place that many of my clients are starting at. And I am going to show you how to rebuild your health from the ground up, one habit at a time, in a way that is sustainable. And I want to show you exactly how I get back to peak performance. I'm not doing anything extreme. All of these are going to be real strategies that I implement or have used with my clients or have researched in depth. And it's exactly what I do. And I want you to follow along. I want you to create your own return. I want you to get invested in your health. I want you to get excited. I want you to recognize that because of the things we have on our plate right now, whether we have kids or partners or a job or we're running a really big business, whatever it might be, that we all have a ton of stuff on our plate right now. So we're looking at the long game right now. We're looking at, what is this going to look like in 6 months? What is this going to look like in a year, right? And this is exactly what we're going to be doing together. If you're going through this and you find, I just want to put a plug out there, if you're going through this and you want that support and the coaching and that personalized process, taking the plan that you're making and bringing it to life, like week by week, step by step, you can always shoot me a message on Instagram about working together. There's a link in the description if you just want to book a call in to talk to me about all that. But if you just want to ask a couple questions, come on over to Instagram and say hi. I hope you're following me on there anyways, because I'm putting out content daily now that I'm back to it. So, with this return, this project return, this challenge, if you want to call it, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing and pick the habits I'm doing, because it has to be what works for you. But more so, the goal of this is I want you to see my thinking process, why I choose the habits I choose, what order I choose them in, and most importantly, how slow and steady it is. I am in full awareness that this is a long-term game, and I really want you to understand that too with your health, because this is what makes it fun and doable. Starting 50 things at once is great, but who has the time and the energy to sustain that, right? It all has to work. So this is what's going to be working for me. You might be working for you too. But most importantly, it's going to help your business when you take control of your health. I say this over and over again. You don't have to choose between having a successful business and your health. You really do get to have both. And one of the most amazing things is that when you work on your health, you get that boost in energy. You get clarity. Your brain is crystal clear. You can think quickly. You get stuff done faster. You're more productive. You can focus. You don't get distracted so easily. And more important than that, you feel good in your skin. You feel good in your clothes. You show up to work and you feel good. You feel healthy. You feel in shape. And you know what I almost love more than that? When you're like elbow deep in a really good health and fitness routine and you're eating well, I love the feeling of being disciplined and focused on a goal. So maybe that's that feeling you chase. Is I just love laying my head down on the pillow at the end of a day and being like, dang, I worked hard today. This was great. Like, I'm looking forward to this tomorrow. So how it's going to work. We're going to talk about this, like I said, every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how I change things up. And I'm going to pop back onto these return episodes, and I'm going to share with you what I did in the previous month, what worked and what didn't, what I really struggled with, and a progress update. And of course, what I'm going to be doing different in the month coming up. So it's basically going to be an assessment. I want to show you how I think about this and this is actually how I think through things with my clients as well. So it's a really good way to kind of tap into this insight. I do plan on documenting this entire process on Instagram. I will be saving it as a highlight called The Return. So if you're listening to this later on, you can go back and find it. But if you want to hang out live and you want to participate in the return, definitely go and follow me on Instagram. It's at Tanessa Shears. You're going to see this whole process, where my workouts start, where my food starts, the whole shebang. So don't miss out on that. So let's think of doing this in a couple steps. All right. So step number 1 is you need to decide how long this process is going to take. How long are you committed to upgrading your health one small habit at a time? So I've already decided that this is going to be taking me, probably 10 months to a year, because here's how I'm thinking, right? It took me 40 weeks for my body to go through pregnancy, to gain the weight, to stop sleeping, to change the food, to change the exercise. It took me 40 weeks, right? So I'm letting the process take its time. And if it takes another 40 weeks or a whole year to get back to this, I'm okay with that because I know I'm going to be feeling better along the way. I'm really going to be focusing on internal strength, optimizing my health, optimizing my brain. Well, why? Because I want to have the energy to be present, engaged with my 2 little girls and scale my business way farther than it is this year. Like I have all of these things and I really want to return to my pre-pregnancy weight and shape, and I want to be strong and doing the workouts that I was doing before. So step 1, I need you to decide exactly what you want to get out of this and how long it'll take. Now I've shared this with my clients a couple times, but I have something that pulls me forward very intensely in my health journey. And I have this vision of me, and I am super, super fit. I have defined arms and shoulders. I am able to do my sprints on the treadmill at a 10 to 12 mile an hour pace. And I love that feeling of just being gassed at the end of it. And I love the idea of being able to have the capacity to be in shape and think I can do hard things and also run a business and have my girls. Like I love the idea of that, and I can see the shape that I want to be in because I've been in it before. And I know exactly what I'm running towards, and I know it's achievable because the goal I have was a shape I've been in the past. And this is what wakes me up in the morning. It's not seeing a number on the scale. It's not being able to deadlift a certain amount of weight. It's not being able to have, perfect scores on my Oura ring. It is the feeling I have when I am at my peak and I am just rocking it in every area of my life. So I really want you to get in touch with something like that for you. Is it a feeling you've had one time when you were on a run and you just got this high and you were like, I can't believe I can do this. This feels so good. Or was it when you lifted up a really heavy weight? Or was it the way you felt in a specific dress or a pair of pants when you were going out to an event and you knew you looked good? Or is it how clear and productive you felt at the end of a really solid effort day of work where you were just like, I slayed it, I got everything done, that was a good day, and I did it because I was so well rested. Now, I really want you to let that drive you primarily and be moving towards that. So then after you've decided that, we go into step 2, and that is making a list of all of the dream things you would love to include in your ideal health plan. So that's kind of what I'm doing, right? I'm redeveloping my health protocol by adding in one small habit at a time. And I actually sat down and did this. I did this while I was pregnant. I sat down with my journal and I wrote down every single health habit or health thing I'd either want to try and see if I loved, or I knew I wanted to keep and implement in my health going forward. Maybe some things I have tried before, some things I haven't. And I want you to dream on this and know that you don't have to do all of these, but these are all things I want to experiment with over the next year, right? Just dream. And when I was doing this, I wrote headers at the top of 4 pages. And they were things I wanted to try with my food, things I wanted to try with my sleep, things I wanted to do to build my stress resiliency. So notice I didn't say to eliminate stress, but meaning when stress happens, because we're humans and it does, how can I get good at getting back to baseline as quickly as possible and not letting it affect me, not letting it disrupt my sleep, not letting it skip my workouts? Stress resiliency. Movement is the other category. So food, sleep, stress, resiliency, and movement. So just to give you an idea of the kind of things that I've included in one of the categories, let's just take stress resiliency, for example. I've got things like I really want to practice yoga nidra during my work days to really help make my mind clear and focused. That's a type of non-sleep deep rest. And we're going to do a whole podcast episode on that coming up. Don't worry. I want to do a 30-day technology detox where it's not essential to running my business. Everything else I really want to cut out. I want to practice going outside for 5 minutes every morning. I would like to start implementing cold showers again back into my routine. These are all things that ended up on that list. Now, if you're like, okay, but I can't think of all the health habits, here's what I want you to do right now. You can pause the episode or do it as soon as you're done, but I want you to jump over to my Instagram and I want you to message me the word return. And what I'm going to do is I am going to give you my freebie Becoming Limitless habit list. So basically, you can swipe all my top health habits for optimizing your body, your health, and your brain. That way you don't have to do the thinking. It's basically like those 4 categories we talked about. It's all the things I want to work on and implement, and it gives you a list. So you can just literally go through the list, you pick one, you implement it, and you repeat. So this is going to be the list that you can work on, or at least it gives you somewhere to start when it comes out. So like I said, head to my Instagram, message me the word return, and I'm going to send you this cheat sheet of my habit list. So it's all about accomplishing one thing at a time, right? So how do we pick where to start? Well, one of the things I love, you either pick one of these 2 things. You pick the area that has the biggest impact or you feel is going to help you the most. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of a hint. If you are at ground zero with all 4 of these categories, I am going to highly, highly, strongly recommend that you start with sleep because it is the foundation for everything else. You would be amazed when you start looking at the research how much sleep affects your ability to stay on track with your food and see the results from the style of eating you choose, right? Like whether it's weight loss or getting stronger, like being well rested and having enough sleep affects your blood sugar, affects your insulin levels. It affects so many different things. It also affects whether you show up to your workouts or not, how strong your workouts are. It affects your stress. So starting at sleep is the way to go. For me personally, I did not start at sleep because I have a 5-week-old baby waking me up all the time. So to set these goals, I have to set what I can control right now. So I'm going to tell you what I started. So on June 7th, which is when I started this whole process, I started doing the return exactly 1 week after my daughter was born. So on June 7th, I began no sugar for 30 days. Now, when I do no sugar, I don't worry about flipping over a ketchup bottle and reading the labels. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I just look at, is there added sugar? Is it a chocolate muffin? Is it a donut? Is it a cookie? Is it pop? Is it juice? Is it something that's really obviously a source of sugar? And I know for a fact that blood sugar levels are made worse by disrupted sleep, right? So I'm like, I can control my sugar right now, which will help with that, right? And so no sugar is where I started with that. And so because it is now July when I'm recording this, we actually made it the full 30 days. And I got to tell you, this is such a good challenge to take on because right now I feel indifferent to sugar, meaning if you put a plate of cookies in front of me, I'm like, give it or take, it's fine. Like I don't have that desire to eat them because I'm distracted or I want to feel better. Whereas when I chose that habit, oh my goodness, I had such a hard time saying no to sugar just because of, how differently I was eating at the very end of my pregnancy. So no sugar, 30 days. That was the first thing I worked on. Then the next thing we put into place, so this is habit number 2, was getting back into a consistent meal planning and grocery shopping routine. So for the last couple months of my pregnancy, we were kind of just showing up at the grocery store once or twice a week. Does this look good? Do you want to eat this? Do you feel like eating this week? And it kind of resulted in like a haphazard, like stuff thrown together. We were eating out a bit more, like just what comes from being disorganized. So we put a meal planning and grocery shopping plan into place. We're actually doing it bi-weekly now. We used to do it weekly, but honestly, with all the children, it is just easier to go once every 2 weeks. So habit number 2, we put a meal planning and grocery shopping plan into place. We actually just did our 3rd full bi-weekly run through yesterday and it is working great. We have way more vegetables in the house. We're eating a lot better. It's fantastic. So the 3rd habit I put into place was I booked in all of the physiotherapy and chiropractor appointments to address getting me up to my base level of fitness and health. So because just naturally going through childbirth, like I want to make sure that all of my pelvic muscles are strong and so I can show up and do all the exercises without any unwanted side effects, right? So for you, it might be like, do you have a nagging shoulder injury? Do your wrists bug you? Does your neck get really tight at the end of the day? So can you take care of yourself and then implement those physio activities and be consistent with your exercises? So that's what I'm doing. The very last habit that I put into place was I just want to get a minimum of 7 hours asleep each night. Now, I did say that I'm not starting with sleep, but how I'm using this as a goal is I know that my sleep is going to be interrupted, but the goal I aim for is 7 hours of cumulative sleep. Now, what this means is sometimes I'll wake up and I'll only have had 6 hours. And for me, I know that means I need to prioritize having a nap somewhere during the day to play catch up so I don't build up a sleep debt, because there's no way I can show up in my business with a clear head, serve my clients, and then turn around and go and be a mom if I'm running on 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night. Like, I just want more for myself than that. So cumulatively 7 hours of sleep. So I'm going to reiterate the 4 habits really quickly. Number 1, 30 days of no sugar, no flour. That's what I did over the past month. We have implemented a meal planning system and grocery shopping that is happening bi-weekly now that has been excellent and really supported the no sugar challenge for 30 days. My goodness, it supported that. Then I went and booked all of my physiotherapy appointments and have been doing my exercises 4 to 5 times a week to get me back to base level so I can exercise really soon. And then lastly, 7 hours of cumulative sleep per, let's call it day, because it's not happening at night all the time. So that was goal number 3. You want to pick the habits you want to start with. So I did not start with all of those habits on June 7th. They layered in. I had the one started on June 7th and then June 10th. And then, the next one was June 15th. And I layered them in like that. So you don't even have to start with 4. That's just the 4 that I knew that would get me off the ground. All right. The very last thing in this strategy is we need to execute. So I've got lots of episodes coming up that are going to help you execute on these things. But more importantly, actually, I've got a podcast episode coming out next week, and it's all about how to know if you've taken on too much. So if you implement your health habits this week and you feel like it's too much, next week's episode will help you decide what to take on and off the table. But my recommendation is, if you've got a lot going on, just put one of these small health habits on the table and commit to mastering it for 1 to 2 weeks before you add something new. So let's make this actionable. Let's just wrap this up. So what is coming up on the Becoming Limitless podcast? I've got a ton of solo episodes that I'm excited to deliver to you guys with the hacks and the strategies. I've also got interviews with experts lined up in some really cool niche areas that are going to help you biohack your brain and your health. Super actionable stuff. You can put this in your return challenge, or you can just listen and, put a pin in it to come back to later. But literally, I have a list of over 70 topic ideas that I am ready to get out to you, and I am so excited. So let's recap. Action steps for today. 1, decide if you're going to do your own The Return alongside me, or you're just going to listen in on my journey and follow along on Instagram. Don't forget, go follow me at Tanessa Shears. Ask yourself, step 2, what do you want to achieve? What are you returning to or creating? How long is it going to take, right? What's your goal? What's the plan? Number 3, make a list of all the things you want to achieve or experiment with over the length of time you've set for your return. Next step, pick somewhere to start. And lastly, begin executing. Okay, I hope that has been super handy. So when we check in a couple weeks from now on this next episode of this mini series called The Return, you are going to hear where I was and what I worked on all month long, and how far that's progressed me towards my goal, what worked and what didn't work. So this episode was all about the setup, and here we go from here, all about beginning the return. Now, we're going to jump off this episode, but I would love if you stick around for just a couple of minutes and listen to the brand new outro for the Becoming Limitless podcast that I recorded while I was on maternity leave. So take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey, if you're hearing me right now, you might be an entrepreneur who feels like this.
Every single thing I had was going into my businesses, and there was no room left for me. And that means I wasn't eating right. My stress levels were just off the charts.
And I was getting these headaches, and I just felt like my health was not where it could be, where it should be.
Every day I woke up really tired, and actually all day long I was tired and I couldn't understand why. And this was really in the way of my productivity.
I gained 20 pounds in 1 year, and that's mostly because of work stress. I've never seemed to have the control over my own health.
This podcast will help you with all of that. I'm sharing everything I know and everything I'm learning about how to get healthy, optimize your focus, and eliminate brain fog for faster business growth. But if you want someone to take all of these strategies, create a simple plan, and help you bring it to life with weekly coaching, I'd love to work with you in my Becoming Limitless program. This is the high-touch intensive program that I have created to coach entrepreneurs like you to get back on track with their health, get really good sleep, and start waking up feeling well-rested.
The biggest impact was really around overall well-being and sleep. So I started tracking my sleep, and it was very data-driven what we did, and I saw measurable progress and improvement week to week, month to month. Now I prioritize sleep. I have my whole family on a better sleep schedule.
You'll get my expert eyes on what you eat and help you develop a simple plan that sticks.
Well, she helped me really figure out what works for me nutrition-wise. It's not just like some cookie cutter plan. It's let's figure out what works best for your body and just optimize everything so I can show up at my best for my family, for my business, and just feel good.
And of course, have you showing up to your business with clear, focused thinking so you can scale your business faster.
Both my companies have grown over the last 2 years.
I'm waking up more energized, and I'm able to be more productive in my business.
You're going to learn how to optimize your brain and your body using a combination of wearable technology, accountability, science-based biohacks, and weekly personalized coaching. I'm not only going to share what to do, but I'm going to teach you how to be consistent and develop the self-discipline that keeps this going for the rest of your life.
Coaching is where the magic really happens, because without coaching, you'll end up right where you started, because those blocks and those underlying patterns that got you here are still there. You have to really rewire the way you think, and that's what Tanessa hopes you do. And it's good to have somebody who's got your back, who will hold you accountable, and who will help you work through this process together.
I help you become a human being instead of just a human doing. You get to have your health and a successful business too. It doesn't have to be a choice.
So she really taught me a lot about how to balance being an entrepreneur and a business owner and also not sacrifice my health.
Yep, you can use the gold mine of information in these free episodes of the Becoming Limitless podcast to help you take control of your health, and you will feel more vibrant. But if you want, you can outsource your health to me and put your brain power back on growing your business. If you're ready to commit to upgrading your health and start feeling more energized within the next couple of months, click the link in the show notes and book in a consultation call with me.
My life today is not even recognizable with the life I had a year ago. And that's because of everything that Tanessa has put into the program. So if you're on the fence, get off the fence. Your future self will thank you for it.
Highly suggest working with Tanessa.
I would highly suggest doing a consultation call with her, doing her program, seeing what she's about, and seeing if she's a good fit for you, because she is definitely committed to her clients and she definitely knows what she's talking about.
So go work with Tanessa. She's really amazing, and she's going to help you get your energy back.
Hit the link in the show notes and book in to talk with me about your health, and I'll see you on our first call.